Welcome to FastTrackAI, where we break down cutting-edge machine learning research with clarity, curiosity, and no PhD required. We want a robot that can clean our kitchen, not just vacuum the floor, but actually understand where the sponge is, how to wipe a counter, how to put away dishes. But today's AI still struggles with the simplest truths about the physical world, and here's why. Language models, like the one you're hearing right now, learn by predicting the next word. And that means their understanding of the world is, well, linguistic. If no one says the ball is still on the table, a language model might not know it. Not because it's stupid, but because it's trained on stories, not stuff. This is the gap. Embodied intelligence sees that the sponge is still there. It doesn't need to be reminded. It's learning from what changes and what doesn't. Until now, if you wanted a robot to learn from humans, you had to hold its hand, literally. Aligned seams, labeled data, one-for-one demonstrations. But UniSkill does something wildly different. It says, what if robots could learn just by watching videos the way we do? That resonates with the machine learning philosophy I lean toward. Do less, let them figure out more. I'm no expert, just a fascinated layman. But it seems that systems thrive when we stop aiming to micromanage them and instead give them space to learn patterns on their own. UniSkill feels like a step in that direction. UniSkill trains on unlabeled videos, not just of robots, but of humans too. It doesn't ask, what is this person doing? It just watches how things move. It learns to represent that change, the movement between those frames, as a kind of compressed vibe, a motion fingerprint. And here's the twist. It doesn't care if it's a robot or a human. Motion is motion. But let's be clear, this isn't an LLM. You can't just say, put the dishes away and expect it to figure it out. UniSkill can't parse language instructions. It can't chat. But if you show it, if you demonstrate the motion, it can learn to do it. That may sound limited, but it's actually why people are optimistic about in-home and workforce robotics by 2027. Because when systems like UniSkill are combined with language models, when something understands both what you're asking and how to move, you get robots that can translate "please put the dishes away" into meaningful, embodied action. Skill vectors for motion, LLMs for intent. Together, they might just close the loop. UniSkill uses two core models: inverse skill dynamics, ISD, and forward skill dynamics, FSD. ISD takes two video frames and encodes the motion between them into a skill vector. FSD takes that vector and predicts what the next frame should look like. This creates an internal understanding of what motion feels like, without any need to describe it in words. And in a way, that might be the very beginning of robotic qualia, a raw, nonverbal sense of movement and change, not consciousness, but maybe a shadow of what it's like to move. To break it down simply, ISD figures out where something has moved by comparing two video frames, and FSD tries to predict what the scene will look like a moment later. That's not too far from what animals do to survive. Sense motion, anticipate outcomes, act accordingly. It's predictive life in digital form. A robot then learns how to respond to those skill vectors using its own body. It's like watching a dance and then figuring out how to do your own version of the move, even if you have different limbs. And the results and implications. UniSkill isn't just accurate, it's adaptive. It works even when the human looks nothing like the robot, or when the background is completely different. And it can compose complex tasks, like wiping a counter, then opening a cabinet, then placing a dish. But what about the limitation? UniSkill isn't magic, yet. It struggles with fast viewpoint shifts, needs fine-tuning for new robots, and doesn't yet adjust the tempo of its skills. Imagine trying to understand the world while your head is whipping around wildly. That's what abrupt camera motion looks like to a model like UniSkill. Image stabilization helps, sure, but it's also possible, personal speculation here, that as these systems develop richer internal models of the world, they'll start to ignore chaotic camera motion entirely, much like we do. Better understanding may naturally dampen the confusion. Still, it's one of the clearest signs that robots might soon learn like we do, not from words, but from watching. This isn't just a smarter robot. It's a glimpse at how intelligence moves, through space, through time, and maybe someday, with true understanding. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're interested in more exploration of the latest papers by a curious layman. This has been Fast Track AI.